All right, well, my name is Chris Wilcox. I am the Hybrid Adventurer, and today we're going to go ahead and narrate through the video that I produced on the Sasquatch of Round Valley. And on this day, on June 8th, I had just planned to take a fishing trip. It wasn't a big deal. We're going to grab the kayak, the fish pole, the gear, go for a couple nights. And yet I had a really interesting encounter with what I think was the Sabe. So yeah, all the evidence you're going to see here today is real. The video coverage, all the noises, and this may be a little bit longer than I would like, but for those of you who are detail seekers, you will appreciate that I go ahead and
well, it's the day of the big outing.
just let the tape roll so you can hear stuff in the woods.
Trying to head over to Round Valley now.
So I'm pretty excited.
Really ugly. Can I get a row?
That day,
So,
you know, it was good to get out for a couple days, but
It's,
yeah, the weather was really bad.
hopefully, they're saying by 4:50.
And when I say this changes my beliefs, it changes, I mean, I always kind of believed that the hairy man / Sasquatch Sabe was a real being, but
On the north side.
after that night,
So we'll just have to check it out.
I really believe it's true. They do exist.
We'll get back in a second.
So with the weather was horrible. Oh my
the
God.
predictions were wrong.
Lightning, thunder, it rained a
They
good
initially looked
hour,
like
good soaking
4:15
rain. You know, the late day
forecast.
storms come through is off and on
It
rain
turns out
for an hour to
it was
3 hours,
2:15
but
on the forecast.
the lightning
That was,
was
the radar prediction. too.
horrible.
And
And people were like, those were
I
fake
don't know.
pictures.
I'm totally amazed at the stupidity
But no,
here.
no, those were frames taken out of my video.
I'm gonna wait for it to lighten
So this
up
is
a
the
bit
first
and
lightning
then get
strike.
this,
It's interesting how you can see a line
in the
above
water.
where the lightning comes out. I noticed that. Look at that
So I'll
one.
let you know. I hear thunder lightning
Beautiful.
out there still, so probably
Absolutely
not a great
beautiful
idea to
photo.
be on the lake during a lightning storm. So gonna have to be pretty.
I'm just really
careful about it all.
frustrated
So
at the weather
I'll get back
reports
to
at
it
this
when I
point.
can. All right, everybody. Well, the hybrid adventurer here.
And finally, looking at the radar, I can
yeah,
see
we're gonna make another go
the
of
storm
this.
clouds moving out. So
The lightning and
I
thunder
was
has
pretty
stopped.
happy about that.
So
I went
it's
back,
just basically,
you know?
rain
Why
gear
not?
now. Obviously, being in a canoe,
I was
you're
expecting
gonna be wet.
to row across in the pouring
I definitely
rain
wanna get
with
in
no
there.
lightning
It's
and thunder.
5:23 right now.
Um,
I'm really not.
But it was,
thinking
you know,
of
it was totally
leaving
doable.
shore
All my gear is
before 4 or 6.
waterproof, obviously, and
with the
I
rain
wasn't
and
worried
everything.
about getting wet. So
So
I was just happy. I knew this eventually would blow out, so I was hoping that that's
yeah,
what would happen.
6, I don't suspect to be at the campsite until around 7:30.
I'm thinking in my mind at this point
which
it's going to
gives
be
me
kind of late towards darkness by the
a little
time I
more
get
than
there.
an hour to get it all set
But-
up, squared away. So I did bring a tarp with me, so that should help. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I was
get
thinking the tarp.
up
Oh
first,
yeah, I'll put the
give
tarp
me
up
some
to protect me while I'm
protection from the
putting up my,
elements to get the tent up.
tent,
That'd
but,
be great. We'll have to see
you
how
know,
that
worst
works
case
out.
scenario, that's what it was. And look at how spooky it is. Like the fog and the clouds and the rain are just hanging in there. Water temperatures are relatively nice. For a reservoir, they're probably in the 50s and 60s. And you'll see that truck back there. Those are the only other campers in the campground. There was 4 of them, and they were about a half a mile away in campsite 37. I am in campsite 82. So here we go, 6:43, late in the day, starting my adventure now. It's about 2.1 miles across, something like that, depending on how you end up going. But I'm gonna check the Garmin, and there is the actual track and some of the stats. It didn't take me very long to get there, for sure. I think 36 minutes, I think. I forget. Something around that. And so here we go. Cruising down here. I got a good wind at my tail here. The waves are going with me. And it looks kind of choppy out there, but frankly, I mean, it really wasn't that bad. Here's me just landing. So if you look at that track I did, that's where I landed at first. I'm looking at my GPS here. It wasn't really reading, so it was kind of worthless. It kind of showed me my location, but it was kind of freaking out a little bit. So I was like, huh, kind of strange. But by the time I got here, I couldn't see any of the markings of those sites. So I decided just to go ahead and pack it in. We're going to go down. So if you look behind me there, it's down the coastline a few. You can't even see here where the Site 37s are, where those other folks are going to be. It's so far down or on that curve down there. Getting comfortable here, and we start going down, checking the GPS again, because I really want to know where the landing spot is. And you can look in the background here, where the campsites are right along the tree line back here. So you have just that little grassy area, which is about 200, 300 feet. I forget how far that is, but it's a little jaunt over some grass to get there. So I'm going to have to lug all my gear up there, but you know, it's not a big deal.
GPS position doesn't look very confident. I'm not very confident. I remember that stick sticking out.
It's a beautiful sunset. The sun was like breaking through the clouds in the distance, you know, and casting this beautiful light over everything. It was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it looks like there was some wind there, but there really isn't. It's pretty calm at this point. As soon as the sun goes down, it gets really calm. So I'm kind of looking for some markers. There's somebody had put like a fluorescent bag on a tree just to mark where the start of the 80s were. So I knew if I could see that I would be in the right area. And I find it. I land. There's a nice little cove right in here I kind of pushed into. And I walk up in here and just kind of give you, so I'm here by 7:43 comfortably. So I'm thinking sun, you know, absolute darkness at 9. So I have like an hour and 20 minutes to get organized here. Here's a nice little pan of the campsite, and just kind of in your mind, look here at all the stuff that we have going on. Took my time to scan the woods a little bit. I just thought it interesting. I was walking, carrying, lugging, so just kind of, you know, I'm always nervous when I'm out there by myself in the middle of nowhere. So I just keep cameras running when I can, but I'm not really expecting anything, you know. This is not Sasquatch heaven in here. This is, you know, a pretty controlled area. You don't get bear in here. I mean, you get lots of deer probably and things like that, which we'll, you know, check that out tomorrow, but tomorrow in the video. I'm just putting up the old tent now. This doesn't really take too long, actually. I mean, it's about 15 minutes once you get it down pat, but All right, so I'm going to stop it right here. So you see this image right here of me finishing putting up my tent up, and between now and the next 30 minutes, I'm going to get car horns, which is great. Anyway, in the next 30 minutes, when I first get there, everything's great. I'm putting my tent up, and as soon as I get my tent up, I start like hacking on these logs, because I had gone to got a couple loads of firewood and brought them back. I thought they were going to be fairly dry. Turns out they weren't. But so I start, getting my hand saw out, and I'm cutting up nice, 1 foot lengths and splitting them down the middle with my knife and my axe, and it's making a lot of noise, a lot of like noises. So I'm not being quiet here, So we'll just keep going here. We're at 9:58. And now it's 10:11 now. And I say, am I being stalked? Because I'm hearing, so after the tree falls, the second tree that fell was absolutely horrendous. It was, later I paced it off at about 140 yards, I think, from my camping location. And when it came down, it was like crack, crack, and then one last crack, and it went bam in the woods. It made such a huge noise. And because only less than 30 minutes prior to that, another tree just decided to fall, I was not comfortable at this point. I'm running this here a little bit here. I start recording because now I'm hearing, not only did those two trees fall down, but now I've got footfalls and movement in the forest. And I've been in the woods a lot. I know what a raccoon sounds like when he's walking around. I know what squirrels are like. We're 10 o'clock in the middle of the night now, so we only have night animals out. So raccoons, porcupines, all those things that come out at night. And it wasn't like that scramble noise that you normally hear, like a ch-ch-ch. It was more of a ch-ch-ch, like a specific footfall kind of noise that you could hear. And this being was being super calm and super quiet, and it unnerved me. Like I would flash it with the light to see if I could see its eye shine, but I was just too nervous to like dive into the forest after this thing. Maybe I should have been, I don't know. It might have like settled my fear, and I would have realized maybe this whole thing, was just my imagination. But I was just too scared at this point, knowing that second tree fall was so deliberate. It just was very unnerving. So I just start talking to myself and talking to Sabe, or the Sasquatch. A lot of people say that talking to it calms the beast, makes him less irritable, perhaps. The reason why they do this is they just want you out of their woods. They do things to scare you away. They don't want you there. The trees that came down were just a warning sign to let you know he was there and to scare you away. So now I'm hearing him closer after the tree falls. So like a couple hours had passed. I was getting comfortable in my own self, and now I start to hear things that are closer, within like 60 feet of the campsite probably. Just footfalls and then some big cracks. So we're at 10:14. Let's just continue to play here. It's a nice protected land here. It's for both of us. Don't need to wreck it. Yeah, I'm just talking. I turn the music down and everything right here so that those of you who want to audio peep this can certainly do so. Put your headphones on and start listening for things in there too. I found a lot of different noises that I really can't identify in here when I was doing that myself. I point a few of them out in here.
No reason for it.
At some point during the evening, I decide, because it gets so intense, that
Share this property
I want to
together.
cast some serious light. So I grab a lantern that I had brought with me. I lit that up on fire. It wasn't actually, it's an LED lantern. And I put it out at the very, kind of close to the edge of the campsite. Right behind that tree, actually, that you just saw there.
Come on in here and join me.
And it lights up that entire front foliage zone pretty brightly. Was thinking to myself, he's not going to come into the light.
Come on.
He'll just start chucking stuff at me if he really wants me out of here. So I'm about 12 minutes in right now, so it's interesting to know. Oh my God! What? It's so weird. The shadows play tricks on your eyes
Who's sharing this property?
when you're watching
Let
this.
everybody else get it.
It's like sometimes you see things like moving that you didn't see before.
Now, if you agree with me,
Anyway,
you knock. Come on.
very, very, very. I'm telling you, this was the creepiest night of my life right here. All right, we're just gonna fast forward a little bit through here. See if I can get in any other stuff. Yeah, you hear that little vibration of the camera as it's trying to autofocus. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit more. And around 13:53 into our video here, I start to hear a lot of movement around me, like it's semi-stalking me. So you'll hear footfalls, quiet, maybe a large tree or something on the ground snap, which freaks you out. And you shine it with the light, and then nothing. And then a little bit later, you'll hear more walking over here, and then it'll stop again. It just was,
You want to share?
yeah, at this point, I'm banging on a cup. I'm doing everything I can here to like distract myself and the being if he's there. I'm very scared. I'm sure he senses the fear. Can you imagine being able to see at night and just watch me in this? Like, he probably knows exactly what I'm doing. Now, at some point, it goes quiet. There's no more footfalls. There's no more noise. And I turn the cameras off because, you know, I only have so much battery power out there. So I turn the cameras off.
You can come inside this circle of trust here.
Yeah, it's so scary to hear him just like in the woods, beyond where I can
Come
see.
sit with me.
It's just unnerving.
You do not have to be afraid.
And I say they are being very quiet here because I don't know. I heard a whoop in the night too, off on a ridge line that was probably a half a mile away during all of this. So I don't want to say that, you know, maybe that's when he left and came back, or he was maybe somehow there was some communication with some other being that was that distance away. I don't know. I'm hoping it was only one. Okay, so at this point, a huge boulder. It's 1:06 a.m. A huge rock. I turned the cameras off now because I was thinking I'm going to head to bed. And I'm so frustrated here. A large boulder, probably 20 pounds or more, gets just hefted into the reservoir. You hear a splash, like a huge rock just got thrown into the reservoir. And you know that sound. It's, you know, it's not like you take a rock this size and you throw it in and it goes bloop. It's nothing like that. It was just a giant splash, like you cannonballed into the lake. I'm just frustrated beyond all belief right now. I can't believe it. I know at this point something's wrong. Nobody can throw rocks like that. So I'm scanning. You'll see the lantern I have out now. You know, being terrified for the last 2 or 3 hours. I finally got it out. I don't like casting a lot of light in the woods. I'd rather have it just my headlamp and the fire. And it's, this was just so scary that I needed as much light as I possibly could. So we're going to kind of fast forward through a little bit of this here. So for you guys that are still audio peeping, you can certainly look at this. There's some areas where there's some knocking. So you'll hear some knocking in the woods. I'm not sure what that is. I know it's, Sasquatch loves to knock in the woods, but usually probably not after this. Maybe it's another scare tactic. I'm not sure. For all you Sasquatch experts out there, maybe you can drop a comment in there about why I would be hearing that. Anyway, I'm going to kind of fast forward through here. Let's just see what we have here. At this point, he's circling again. This is after 1 o'clock in the morning. And he's so close. He's driven me out of my tent now again. I'm standing up, shining all in the woods because I hear something. I'm so nervous right now. I'm like, I don't want to see I shine. But I do and I don't. I just want him to go away and leave me alone at this point.
You don't have to hide.
I'm still talking to him or her. I have that huge bowie knife in my hand. It's the only protection I had, which would really not have done anything but piss him off. As he ripped me from limb and limb. But at least I would have got a couple good hacks in, maybe. Maybe got lucky. At this point, I'm so scared. He's so out in this general area in front of me. And I don't know how far. It's hard to judge noises in the forest. It could be 20 feet, it could be 50 feet, but I don't see anything. I don't see, or, like sometimes you'll hear like the trees move too I'm just, I'm like, I'll give you an offering here, dude. I'll make you some food. I'll get you some food. So I go get a bowl and I'm going to give him some of my dried fruit. Because it's good stuff. And I got my light shining still on my head. I'm like, here, pour a little bit of this in here. And by the way, my cojones are really large right here because I'm just like, I'm going to deliver this into the woods. I hear him walking around in there. I'm just going to grab this and run in there. See if I can scare him. It's probably a bad idea, but it maybe generally meant that I meant business, that I wasn't scared of him. I hope. I don't know. Anyway, I drop it down. There's a tree about the size of this, and I put it right in the middle. And in the morning, it's way off to the side and kind of spilled over. So I don't know if maybe a raccoon got it or something, or a bird. I don't know. But I guess I should have counted how many dried fruit pieces I put in there to see if he tasted any. But it looked like it wasn't touched, but it's really hard to tell. Anyway, I'm talking about getting hit in the back of the head with a rock. I'm just trying to make humor out of this whole thing. I'm getting so tired right now. I'm just getting burned out. You know, with your hair standing on its like tippy tip toes the entire time is very difficult and nerve wracking, and you just get stressed out with your adrenaline rushes. So I'm like, oh gee, I forgot my knife. I think I better go get it. Realizing he's still out there, he's still moving around. I'm like, give me this damn thing. Not that it's really going to help much, but it was comforting, I guess, right? And there's some knocks right there, guys. I decided now to put on my boom mic. So I have a boom mic for these cameras as well. Maybe I was going to shoot or record stuff that's farther into the forest. One of those two shining things off in the distance there. I'm just going to ignore that because they didn't look like eyes, but that was kind of weird, right? And we just keep going here. There's a really scary part coming up here.
Had an experience.
Some more knocks in the distance. These birds are loud. So this is an area where I hear a lot of movement. It's just like constant movement in the woods, moving around, circling around this little area that I'm in. You hear knocks in the distance, which could be him. Maybe those sounds are coming and emanating from that far in the woods, as well as his knocks. I don't know. Very interesting. Who knows? It might have been me doing something too. I don't know, but if you guys could maybe put something in the comments of what you think. But they're distinctive knocks, like I'm just trying to ignore them now. You know, I just want them to go away. Let me get some sleep. All I want to do is fish the next day and catch those giant Lakers out here. Oh, and I make a comment, the forest is so quiet. So
Really?
and he just really big out there. I just get pissed, fly out of there again.
Oh, stop hiding in the bushes.
I'm so frustrated. I just want him to like either come or go, you know? Camera can't focus on anything at this point. This gives you a good idea. The ISO is really high here. It gives you a really, really good idea of what it looked like from my perspective. And I had three rules I was going to do. If I saw ice shine, or I got rocks thrown at me, or if I saw him come out of the woods, I was out. All right, I'm going to go to sleep. He's going to bother me. I finally get to sleep somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock. Who knows when it was exactly, but at this point I'm just mumbling to myself.
All right, well, that was a pretty interesting night.
Yeah, I've got a lot to talk about.
So I get up the next day,
I mean,
cook my bacon, realize I forgot my coffee. I'm so mad.
But some really weird shit.
You know, you just move out, and with the storm the way it was just, it wasn't good.
We're gonna have to talk about it here in a few minutes. But as you can see, I'm cooking some bacon.
Had some bacon cooking in the background. Totally yummy. It was worth it though. Just for the bacon, it was worth it. There's what it looked like. It had the ISO way up to like 16,000 or something.
While I'm having my breakfast, I might as well relay the accounts of last night.
So this is the account from my perspective.
By the time I got here, it was probably already into twilight, so I had about a half an hour to
I'll just let you guys kind of cruise through here.
somehow find some firewood, which would inevitably
You can
be
take from it what you want. I do forget things. I'm so frazzled right now, so I forgot about the rock. I forgot about some of the
I
knocks.
stumbled around, found another campsite.
But it's, you know, it's good that I could review it in my head still.
Up the hill that had some firewood.
So we're going to kind of fast forward through
Dragged it
here.
back down and made one more trip. Everything was fine at that point.
Now, I had
started
fully
to,
planned to
chop up some
get
of that
up
wood,
and go investigate
weed
the
out
woods,
good pieces from the
but I
back.
still didn't feel comfortable. I got
And
up,
at that
I
point,
took my
I
camp
heard the
down,
first tree fall.
and I was like, yeah, let's go. And then I
And it
would
was
walk
loud.
10 or
It would
maybe
probably
15
be
yards into the woods. I looked
200
around a
yards
little
away.
bit, and I was like, you know what? Nah,
Maybe
I just didn't.
250.
It might not have been that I was feeling I was still being watched, but it just didn't feel comfortable yet. So I got out. I
pretty much shocked
I
me
busted
because
out.
they-
I
you know,
was
there's
tired.
No wind at this point. The storm's
So I
already
scratched the
blown
next
through. All it
day.
is the,
I was going to stay 2 nights,
it's
but
not raining anymore. You saw
I
the
just-
beautiful sunset,
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
and it was a huge crash.
So you guys can listen to this. I'm just going to fast forward
So I was
again
like,
through
"Fuck,
here.
What the hell was that? I was like, all right, I'll just chalk that up to
And, you know, after
the tree falling in the woods. You know.
I get
that was
out
fun.
of the woods,
Even though
I tell a
it
few
kind of
people,
unnerved me.
you know, what happened,
Like,
and
you know, when you
I
hear
get
something
various
scary, all the hair's
unsundry,
gonna go down. You know, as Steve likes to say,
like comments or whatever.
on a wire. All your
But I
hair's
called my
on
brother,
wire.
and I was like, hey, you know, this is what happened to
And
me.
did. So I started to talk
And
to the hairy man at that point.
he basically
Just
says,
mentally
you know, why don't you go
protecting out
back?
there and share
You
the
know,
forest.
not necessarily to camp,
I
but
wasn't here for
check for,
any evil.
you know, the trees, the rocks, anything you can find, any evidence. If you find the trees, it's going to be a huge
Just, you know, because I'm scared
validation of
by myself. in the
what
middle of nowhere.
it possibly was,
No campers
because you know you can tell if a tree just
We
kind
were
of
gonna path or where
crashes
the camper
over
from.
or not. You know, it's something you can tell. All of us that have been in the woods for years
So
know
I just kept
the
going to
different
my business.
sounds of
I put a
trees
lantern out.
falling down. You know, when you're chainsawing one and you don't get it all the way through, and then you start pushing at it and it goes crack and makes that big cracking
I'd say another
noise
half
as
an
the
hour in.
as the last few like centimeters break off, and then it's like crack, crack, and then crash.
I'm not sure
Y'all
if
know
they
that
knock
sound.
on the tree before
And
it
if I can
falls,
find
or
that
it's
tree,
just maybe the internal structure
I
of
should
the
be able to
tree
know immediately
cracking,
whether
breaking.
it was, you
I
know,
heard like
pushed, pulled, hacked, fell over.
huge tree.
I should be able to do that. So I plan another trip,
This one was
and
really
so
close,
this is
like
kind of where
100
we're
yards away or
heading
more.
into the next day.
Just a little, you know, it was probably, it's like,
Or
we're
not the
gonna go
next
look
day,
for
but
it
the
and
next
see if we
week.
can find it,
I
because it was
let a whole week
like,
pass before I get the nerve up to actually go back out
As you
there
can see,
and
on
give it
my
a
way
shot.
back, it's been 1 week since the encounter.
And so
with
there I am,
Sabe.
headed back into the woods.
And my brother advised me last night to get out there and give it another shot. I was like, you know what? Why not? It's, you know, I'm not working today. It's a beautiful day. You know, why not? So the hybrid adventure is going back out.
We're headed back
Go
out.
ahead and do the old
Beautiful day again.
kayak thing across the lake.
A lot more wind
Miles.
that day, but
Usually the wind
just
is
kind of fast
with
forward
me
through here
on
until I get to the.
those particular jaunts and against me on the lake.
All right, so here we are on the lake.
Let me show you what the day looks like.
Beautiful day. Gorgeous. Sun was beaming.
Kevin, here it is. This is pretty much Sabe.
Had a nice
It's got some nice
wind in my
big
back,
waves
so I could cruise across there pretty quick.
pretty good
So I
checking
just start
forest.
cruising, you
Checking
know?
forest,
Just
man.
start cruising.
If you're one or two Sabe in this area, you might find a way to survive in here. Who knows? Alright,
We'll just
well.
kind of fast forward through here. I do a little bit of talking on the way, show you a little bit of the environment that we're in, how the
It's kind of wavy
how the trees look and how everything looks.
Back, but hey, it is what it is. I'll just take it along the shore, but
And we're gonna move in. Move into the
kinda
woods.
see
Check it out.
crime here, so to speak. Behind me is where the edge
So
of the forest is.
it's
and that's where
interesting
we're gonna
that I
go.
walk
So
in
I'm gonna
there
try to keep this
and
on
everything is exactly how I left it.
Gotta be.
All the sticks are in the same place, in the same location. And I knew on my watch, you know, I had a compass bearing of like 33 degrees or something like that. So I flipped it over to compass, you know, I took a reading and then bam, I sighted off and off I went.
3 degrees.
You know, having that military experience of following things in the woods
All right, Sabe, if you're here.
on bearings is relatively just second nature to me. So it was relatively easy just to tramp through here in that general azimuth and look around. You know, I find a couple trees down,
Taken down by somebody.
but they're, you know,
Sawed
nothing like what I heard, and they're old or they've been hacked on by humans.
I see some sawed ends there.
So definitely been on the ground for a while.
The good thing is, it doesn't look like
And so I just keep walking through the forest,
there's a lot of trees that came
looking
down,
at different
you know?
things like the widowmakers
And here's a widowmaker.
and the different trees that are
Definitely
falling
too
down.
late.
I'm just gonna kind of fast forward through here. You know, I didn't know what to look for. I
Big
you know, in
ass
my
tree
head, I would
there.
thought it would be a tree that would be laying flat, and I could see,
Looks like it got
some,
sawed over there.
you know, the root structure that
Looks
had
like it's
like
been here for a
cracked
while, I
off or whatever. I really just was not prepared for what I saw here. Yeah,
So,
the tree has been hacked up.
Evidence here
As an
of
example,
hacking, so that's
Um,
not the tree.
and we just kind of go through here a little bit more.
Looks like that would
When
have
the creepy music starts, you know things are going to happen again.
What is that over there? That looks like a fairly new bike.
And when I see something up ahead, I'm like, what? Holy cow. Oh my God. I was not expecting that.
A little bit jump.
It just
Yes,
blows my
it's
mind. When I
definitely
look
the
at it, I'm like, holy crap. Look at the amount.
Definitely a
Look at the fibers of that
rotted,
tree,
but
how
not
they
dead, it
got
looks
bent.
like.
They're just, that's not just a nice clean snap off break, that's taken down by some serious force. And remember, there's no wind that
Wow.
night. You can back the video up and look. It was totally calm.
Okay.
There's no cloud burst in the area.
thinking this was
Everything
it?
is, you know, not flattened down anywhere. It was
100%
just that
positive?
tree in the forest at 140 plus yards just ripped
But
and snapped off in a typical Sabe fashion.
it's on the right azimuth.
He just does this all the time. And there's the tree from the other angle.
so
I did find also some abrasion marks on the tree, so we're thinking that he probably pulled it down over himself. So he got up against the tree, grabbed it as high as he could, and it turns out that those abrasion marks are 12 to 14, somewhere in there. I didn't actually measure them yet,
but he grabbed it like this and just pulled it right down. Probably like crack. That's the cracking I heard because he rocked it maybe once or twice, and then just pulled that whole tree down like that. And it looks like he would have had to have kept pulling it too, because if you see the way the fibers are bent like that, it's like that thing probably just didn't come down really easily.
Side of the mountain's got some deer
Probably
on
had
it
to
up
pull
in
for
here.
quite a while.
For
And you can
sure.
kind of see where the
Yeah,
abrasion
just
marks
really
are
good. I
here
caught
too,
them
in
on
that
the
little
other
to the
camera.
right of the trunk. It's hard to tell on the video, but this gives you an idea how tall that was. So the break was right around 4 feet. Some of that wood's fairly dry, but yeah. What have we learned?
All right, so
We learned that, yeah,
What
I'm
have we
scared
learned?
out of my wits at this point.
there was no wind that night.
And I love the deer noises that were
That
up
tree
about
had
2 minutes
a
ago.
lot of sinuation. that
Sound
was
like a
bent
velociraptor in
over
the
and
woods.
So when the tree
Anyway.
was like that, when it got pushed over, it bent all the sinews in that remaining. Now, yes, could have been a natural fall, maybe.
Yeah, at this point I kind of realized
Was it
that
enough to,
something was
wind at
amiss,
all?
something was not right. And the only
don't find it
conclusion I could
likely that
possibly
tree
make
fell.
was it was something of the forest.
in a very
So-
calm, windless night with hardly anything.
I ended
going
here
on.
with a couple stills of the tree. Just unbelievable. I probably took some of these with my phone as well. Just really scary stuff. Just cracked right over. Didn't take much. Obviously he probably knew that it was ready to go. It was like, this is the perfect tree to pick on. I can pull this huge thing down. Sure enough. And in that third or fourth photo, you see the abrasions on the tree. Like those two light areas where he grabbed. Phew, that's just massive. That's pretty much it, guys. I don't really have a lot more to say except that it's just really changed the belief in what this is. Knowing that creatures like that, I mean, you can estimate if he's reaching up around 12, 13 feet, that creature's between 9 and 11 feet tall. Probably weighs between 8 and 1,000 pounds, 800 and 1,000 pounds. It's a massive creature. So I'm gonna go talk to a game warden. I probably won't be able to get it on video, but I'll do a reaction from how he reacts, because I'm interested to know when I bring it up to him what his eyes look like. Like, does he acknowledge it? Does he deny it? Has he heard any stories? Because obviously when you go online, you do find some BFRO reports from 2007, which I quoted in the beginning, that said that they had heard the Ohio howls on the ridgeline. So you know that Sabe's picked a nice little area in there to be by himself. And obviously, you don't want people in there. You don't. It's a smaller area. And he picks on people who he can get to. I mean, I'm sure if you had a bunch of campers in there, he may or may not come in there at all, but he obviously made himself present. I was there by myself, out in the middle of nowhere, where no other campers there except, those folks that were like half a mile away. I was easy pickings. So, anyway, it's unnerving. I guess I'll just stop the video here, guys. Please leave your comments down there. If you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them best I can. And if you pick up anything in the video that I missed, additional knocks or strangeness in the forest, please point it out to me. So stay safe, and until the next time, Hybrid Adventure is saying, have a great one.